Welcome to the Catalyst Sale Podcast. Many of us struggle with sales, whether it's from confidence, comfort, or just not wanting to be salesy. We want to help our customers. We know we can, but we complicate the process. This podcast is designed to help professionals like you improve at sales through process, practice, frameworks, and thinking differently about what you already know. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and I'm here with the founder of Catalyst Sale, Mike Simmons. Hello, Mike.
Remember, Chief Revenue Officer at CyberSafe.
Oh, yes. I should add that to my notes. I'm a creature of habit, and I'm so used to saying founder of Catalyst Sale, but you're something bigger. I don't know if it's bigger. How's that going? Of course it's bigger.
We're doing some amazing things at CyberSafe, and I'll include a link in the show notes here. The podcast is important to me because I want to share this message and help people get better at the things that they're working on, specifically around sales. And today we're going to talk about mindset, goal setting, execution. But I am super excited about what we're doing at CyberSafe. And the reason I'm super excited about what we're doing at CyberSafe is this is a technology company, a software company that is changing the world as it relates to dealing with human cyber risk, specifically around the ambiguity around human cyber risk, both from an organization and a individual perspective. And I'm just excited to be part of the team.
Well, there's two things here. One, that's fantastic. And you're going to hear more about CyberSafe, I imagine, over the episodes. And two is that Mike has made the decision and is willing to keep the podcast going, even with the additional work that's going on at CyberSafe. Mike doesn't need to do this. He wants to do this because of you, and he wants to help you. So that's why we're here. Mike, I'm glad you're still here.
I'm glad I'm still here too. I wouldn't give this up. I think there's the feedback that we get, two, how adoption continues to change, three, because these problems continue to exist out there. So this was something important to me to not give up. And that's why we record these things in batches and they get published throughout. So let's do it. So we're going to talk about mindset.
Mindset. Yes. Last month we did a theme. It was our first full month theme. At least that's how I remember it. And we talked about fundamental sales skills. This month, our theme is mindset. So get us started, Mike.
So this is one of those topics that a lot of people talk about. And we've had Catherine Adamak on in the past. We've had folks like Alana Fank on, Justin Welsh was on, Scott Leese, a number of different people. And in many of those conversations, the idea around mindset comes up. In fact, we did a timely topic episode with Jeff Noel and got into some really detailed stuff around mindset. And that was just over a year ago. It was right off the back of me being out in Orlando at this time last year. So it's a topic that is important to me. It's a topic that is important to a number of us out there. And it's a topic that I think a number of us struggle with. If you're struggling with mindset, listen to the episode with Jeff Noel, and we'll include a link in the show notes. Today, I want to get into some practical things that I do that help shift my mindset. Depending on whatever it is that I'm focused on or where I am at a given point in time. And one of the practical things that I do is I leverage music. I now watch some movies too. Movies will help. Everybody knows my interest in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I actually found out this past weekend, and this is going to timestamp some of this, but I found out this past weekend that my niece, who just turned 22, had never watched Christmas Vacation. And I have failed as an uncle as a result. So I think we've got that remedied now, but at 22, she had never watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Can you imagine?
What is it? At 22, what is that? Generation Z? I think there's a problem there.
It doesn't matter what generation it is, there's a problem. So like the problem should have been solved early along. And where it came up is I made a joke and I referenced Christmas Vacation with a video. And she came back and she responded that was mean of me, or that maybe she didn't get it because I'm old. And I said, yes, I am old. Yes, just getting bashed left and right. But anyhow, if you know of someone out there who has not watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, it is your obligation to share it with them and go back and look at the 25 days of Christmas tied to holiday movies back in December of 2019, to reinforce some of these stories. So back to to music and mindset?
Well, music and mindset, which takes me to, I love from the first Vacation, the two Lindsey Buckingham songs. Those are two songs that I often will bring up, not while I work necessarily, although sometimes, but it just changes. Like, I have such fond feelings for the vacation movies, and those songs are just good, and it changes my mindset. I think that's where you're taking us here, right?
Well, yeah, you could tell when I went to high school and when I went to college, or the years that I spent in both high school and college, just by looking at my playlist or hearing the music that I play in my Jeep. There's some Pearl Jam in there, there's some Metallica in there, there's just some old Motley Crue, there's just a wide range, Guns N' Roses. And then you get into some of the stuff that I'll listen to, whether I'm working out or even out on the golf course. Lately, I've been on a combination of Tupac, Eminem, Kanye, Dr. Dre, and some NWA while on the golf course, which is absolutely fascinating to think that that's what I'm listening to while I'm out on the golf course. And I'll do it while I'm working out too. But like, it's amazing the visceral impact that music can have, whether it's calming or separating. Like, there's a classical music that you can listen to that's a bit more calming, or we've talked about it in the context of writing. The soundtrack to The Descendants, I know, is one of your favorites to listen to while you write. And I'll have that going on in the background. That actually, one of the songs in that soundtrack was my number one listen to song in all of 2020.
Wow.
Which just made everybody in my family laugh. Which just adds to the list of things that they get to laugh about. Like, how about you? Like, where do you go? What kind of music do you tend to go to if you wanted to just kind of pick things up? Let's say you're feeling a little bit down, you're tired, you want to amplify the energy. What do you go to?
Well, I really enjoy Elvis. I'm a big fan of Elvis. I like Johnny Cash, that sort. So that's where I go. But sometimes I'll pick things from my younger days, maybe a CD that I was fond of that came out in a particular year. And now that my son's a little older, he's a teenager, he's discovering some of that. So that's kind of fun. From college days and road trip days when I was in college, there's a band out of Chicago called Hello Dave. I'll listen to Hello Dave, and that will make things a little fun to remember those days. But writing, it's the Descendants soundtrack. Now, I need to clarify, Mike knows this, but it's the Descendants movie with George Clooney, not the Descendants, the Disney high school movies.
Yeah, well, speaking of Disney movies, I mean, every once in a while I'll have, like, I've got Let It Go in one of my playlists, which is just, an awesome song if you're just trying to get over some crap that's, getting in the way, or struggling with disconnecting from things that are real versus not real, or things that you can control and things that you can't control. So yeah, it's range really helps. Like, there's a diversity in the type of music that I listen to. And like we just talked, it ranges from country to rock to metal to hip hop. I mean, I'm just listening to Neil Peart's autobiography, and I had no idea how much of an influence Arizona had on Neil Peart. And there are a number of things that he talks about, both from when Rush performed in Phoenix, in and around Phoenix, and where he would vacation between Show Low and Tucson, and the amount of time that he would spend on his motorcycle. So lately, the last week or so, I've been on a bit of a Rush kick. And what's fascinating about Rush, and I didn't appreciate this before listening to his book, is how much storytelling goes into the music and the sequence of music Rush would put out in their albums, and how much design is there, which you lose track of when you just listen to music on the radio. If you're listening to music on the radio, whether it's Sirius XM or it's your local radio, you're hearing segments of an album, usually one song inside an album, and then having that transition to something else. You're not getting the story that the musician or the band was putting together. So music is pretty powerful.
It certainly is. And I am not ashamed of or afraid to listen to the same album or even song over and over. For example, Descendants, if I write for 2 hours, 3 hours in a row, I will listen to it over and over and over, and I don't care. And I think that one helps because all of the singing is in Hawaiian. So the lyrics can't distract me at all. It's just really pretty. It doesn't distract me. Hamilton, the soundtrack for the musical Hamilton, there was a time where that was my go-to, and I listened to that, constantly for a couple of months.
The one that I will listen to over and over again, I don't know what, I'll get on this kick, but it'll be something like John Denver, it's, thank God I'm a country boy. And I'm not. I mean, I live in the middle of the desert. Jody is laughing because Jody actually, his background, and you can't see this because we don't share video, but he has Blackfoot ferrets in the background looking over his shoulder. And so he is in the middle of the desert wearing a flannel shirt. So he is a country boy. So I think just as we get back to the way that the impact that things can have on our mood, whether it's music, heck, even a smell, remembering a smell of cookies coming out of the oven or a pizza being delivered at the house, or some people, you'll notice this if you're ever on vacation in Florida, the scents or the smells that'll be around some of the hotels in the Disney bubble. There are these senses that can help you shift your perspective, shift your mood, ultimately shift your mindset. And if you're getting yourself in a rut or you're struggling with some of these mindset issues, maybe the thing that you need is just a kick or a shift in perspective. And if what you're listening to today, like this podcast, is not helping you with mindset, go out and listen to some metal, listen to some Twisted Sister. We're not going to take it, and see where that gets you. See if that provides that kick, or even some Queen, We Are the Champions, or We Will Rock You. These are songs that move people. If you ever want to see an amazing performance, I think it's Iron Maiden in Rio. Well, and I'll have to ask Craig Seibert about this, but there's some video of Iron Maiden in Rio, or somebody conducting a concert in Rio, where the entire stadium is just moving, and you see this movement of people. So if you're struggling with mindset, if you're struggling with some of these challenges, you just need a kick, go to your music. And I'd love to hear from everybody out there. What are your go-to songs? So go to @CatalystSale on Twitter, send us a direct message, comment that you listened to this podcast episode. Let us know what your go-to songs are if you need that kick. Jody, do you have any other songs that you want to share with the group?
I think another one that I went through for a while was the soundtrack to The Greatest Showman. That's a good one. But also my kids like that, so it was playing constantly in the house. And being the father of a teenage daughter, I hear a lot of the soundtrack of Frozen and Brave. Those play a lot. And believe it or not, they end up weaving their way in. And I don't know, should I admit that some of them are actually, I like it, and it does help, because I think fondly of my daughter. Those songs remind me of her. It just makes me feel good. And I think it's a great place to start. Even you can listen to music nobody else has to know about. If it makes you feel good, just do it. And you don't have to tell us.
Just throw those AirPods in, or those earbuds in, or those headphones on. And I can't tell you what my kids listen to. The Weeknd did the halftime show at the Super Bowl this year. I had no idea who that was. And then all of a sudden, all the memes were out there of The Weeknd looking for his keys during the halftime show, back and forth. And or for those of you who've watched the Super Bowl, you'll get the reference. Yeah, don't be ashamed of the kind of music you listen to. I listen to some old stuff that my kids can't believe I still listen to. And all it takes is a couple of chords from a good song, and it'll get you in that mood. Like the first couple of chords in Paradise City, the first couple of chords in Hot for Teacher, or the drum beat in Hot for Teacher, the beginning of a Civil War with Guns N' Roses. Like, all of these are songs where you just hear the first bit of them and you know what you're getting into. Or Journey, Don't Stop Believing. So anyhow, I'd love to hear your songs. If you want to keep them private, keep them private. If you want to be public about it and just embrace the range of diversity that you have in the type of music. And as you can tell, Jody and I are complete separate spectrums related to some of the music that we were talking about. I can't tell you the last time I listened to Elvis, but I know Eminem references Elvis in some of his songs. So there we go.
Well, I can't tell you the last time or if I have listened to Eminem. Perhaps I will give that a try coming up, but I don't know. It could change our next conversation, Mike. We'll see. I also want to
send a couple of songs your way, Jody. We're gonna change your mindset, add some diversity to your music, man. Come on,
we'll do it. I want to give a shout out also to my friend Jason Herod. He is a musician whose music has gotten me through a lot of good and bad times over the years. So I do like to return to Jason Herod's music because it's just delightful. And when my wife was pregnant with our first child, I used to play Jason Herod music to her stomach. I don't know if you ever did that, Mike, but so I always joke I was afraid when my son was born, he would expect me to sound like Jason Herod, which doesn't happen.
No, but when my sisters have had kids recently, I have made the comment that they should be allowing those kids to listen to the Catalyst Cell podcast in utero. And it has not been well received. I can tell you that it has not been well received.
Well, I endorse that, Mike. I endorse that. Maybe you're willing to try that. Let Mike and I be a voice to unborn children. I don't know. We're taking this a little too far, Mike, but I do like how music plays a part in mindset. And I know overall the topic of this podcast is sales. Mindset is a big piece of sales, and music can help shift a mindset and help you get pumped up. Even if you have a big call coming up, listen to a song that inspires you. And it doesn't matter what inspires Mike or what inspires me. Find something that inspires you. Listen to it before a big event, before a big call. And I remember doing this in sports a lot. It was great in the locker room or something to listen to a song that got you going before hitting the ice.
I have absolutely listened to Thunderstruck before I've gotten on a call before. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Yes, wonderful. All right, reach out to Mike. Let us know what you listen to help get you in the right mindset. Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you for listening to the Catalyst Sale Podcast.